Jesus Christ. We made it on God's wake up list, and you are tuned in to Kingdom Empowerment International with your host, Pastor Tito Paul. I am your co host, Dr. Ian, alongside Lady V and Dr. Yvonne Bennett. We have been having some hot topics. This platform is a place where hot topics are for real and there's never a dull moment. So we are going to go directly into our program. I want to ask Lady V to introduce what we have been talking about and what we will be talking about today. Get yourself geared. Share your friends, Twitter, everyone, Facebook. Let them know that Kingdom Empowerment International is on with Pastor Tito Paul and your co-host Dr. Ian alongside Lady V and Dr. Yvonne Bennett. I'm excited and good afternoon to you. Let's go. It's going to be on and popping. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes. Well, greetings, everybody. How's everybody doing today?
We are well, and Dr. Yvonne.
Doing well, and I know everybody else is doing well. I see the joy of the Lord all over the two of you.
Thank you. Well, we kind of kicked it off last week. I missed some of the show, but I went back and I had a chance to look at some of it, and we were talking about stopping the violence against our women. And that is really, really a hot topic because you have so many women, and I know that Dr. Bennett can talk about this all day because this is what she does. But in counseling women, but there's so many that are experiencing domestic violence in the home, especially since the pandemic. Because can you imagine having to live with your abuser? So I really think that this is a great topic of discussion. But now we talked a little bit about last week some of the signs we need to look for. What do we do? Where do they go? Who do they reach out to? What is their support system? But we're going to talk about this week after you're now you've broken free. Where do you go after that? What is the outcome? How do you start over? How do you break free and start over? So I know that starting over can be a little scary. Oftentimes, we watching, especially on the movies. I think Mom and I were watching this movie, and there was this girl, Megan Good, and she was in an abusive relationship. And the only way she saw herself getting out was to actually, what did she do, Dr. Bennett? She faked her death. And that was her only way of breaking free. And, desperate measures is sometimes what we have to take when we're trying to break free, especially when someone is abusing us. And she went to the point where she beat herself up and made it look like somebody killed her in order to get away. But what about those women? A lot of times in their mind, what do I do once I break free? Where do I go? Because it's easy to tell a person, well, walk away. You gotta go to counseling, get out of there, go somewhere, do something. But where do they go? How do I start my life over? What does that look like? If they have children, you have to uproot your children. You have to, and then sometimes your abuser can find you. So how do you start your life over? So we're going to talk about that today. And I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Bennett first, and you can start us off on it.
Well, interesting topic, and thank you so much for allowing me to participate in conversations and topics like this, because it is my heart to help people get through this kind of stuff. One of the things that I always recommend, if a person is going to make an exit from domestic violence, she should not tell the person that she's going to leave because she may not make it. We've had situations, one in particular, she told someone else and the someone else told the husband, and the husband came home with a rifle and killed her, shot her, then shot himself, and the two of them did die. So you cannot, if you're going to exit, you have to have a plan. You must have a plan. And you have to have that plan so intact that you don't release that information to the person that you're going to leave. Sometimes, unfortunately, I found women verbally stated to try to get the man to do better. No. A person that is treating you this way, if you're involved in and trapped into domestic violence, you make up in your mind that you're going to leave on foot and not in a box. Because you're going to leave one or two ways. You're going to walk out or you're going to be carried out. Because most people do not stop beating you until you are dead or almost dead. And that's not good. So what do? You have a plan. You have to have a plan. And first of all, you have to be wise enough to see the thing that you need to accept before it happens. There are always signs when a person has in their mind to domestically abuse you. There are signs. Some people, especially men, we're talking about men or women, but mostly men will stop paying bills. They will stop coming home on time. You don't know their whereabouts and so forth and so on. You can't ask them any questions at all. So when you see these things happening, you know that it's going to build your emotions, your anxiety, your PTSD to the roof. So what you have to do, you have to have a plan. First of all, accept the fact that I'm bigger and better than this. You are not going to treat me this way. No matter how much I think I love you, I don't love being beaten. You have to have a plan, because a lot of people never had a plan and they never made it out. The person lost their life and so did their children. So you have to have a plan. You can't go around running your mouth about, you're going to leave. You may have one person that you think you can trust. My suggestion would be have all your eggs together. Make sure you have everything together before you disclose anything. And you have to plan the time to exit, but you need to know where you're going. So what am I saying? It takes money. It takes patience, but you got to get out. And you have a plan that I'm going to start all over. Some people didn't finish school. Have a plan. You have a child. You can in the meantime, while you're planning to go, contact agencies. I have a number for you, and it's 888-506-1151. And that particular number is specifically a domestic violence hotline. It's 888-506-1151. And they help you. They will help you secure your children until you can get the rest of your plan together. But you must have a plan.
Well, I want to say something. Is there ever a point where, because, I definitely agree with Dr. Bennett. You have to have a plan. But sometimes that plan, that person has a way of finding you, even in the plan. So is there, my favorite movie is Enough. So if I was going to be in a movie where it involved domestic, are you with me? I'm going to be in Enough, because there's some particular point in my mindset, I'm going to retaliate. I am. I'm not going to so much give you an opportunity to continue to show up in my life. So is there a time where we advise women to learn how to defend themselves so that they gain a confidence in case this person shows up again, because I just can't see myself coming up with these plans and this person keeps following me and they keep finding me, because there's children involved and somewhere he may find me. So if he shows up, what is my defense that I've gained? What are we telling? What are some of the tools that we're helping them in defending themselves, so that, you know, I'm like, Medea, you better get that pot and that grits and make it happen, because
that was going to be my question, Lady V. Dr. Bennett answered 3 questions I was going to ask already, but the next question I was going to ask Lady V, she actually started answering it, is it right to retaliate, and is retaliation going to escalate the problem? That was going to be my question to Dr. Bennett.
You can always, Enough happens to be my favorite movie as well.
Yeah.
But once again, it's a movie. And
right.
Movies are different than reality. You can lose your life in the midst of that. Some women, unfortunately, they keep allowing the domestic violence to happen over and over and over. You only have one time, just one time, to hit me. You only have one time. I will get a restraining order and get you out. That's my retaliation, because I know I'm no competition with a man, and I don't look good in orange. I'm not going to jail because I killed somebody. I am not. So I would not advise a person to retaliate or defend yourself when it comes to a man, because that evil demon inside of that person, that's really what they want you to do. So they can say she came after me, and it's your word against theirs. I would rather take it to the law enforcement immediately. First of all, I would exit. I would get out. If I'm in the bed and he's trying to choke me, then of course I'm going to try to get your hands off of me. But once again, there are signs. There are really signs. Nobody just comes in and just, domestically shows domestic violence towards a person. There's always pre-existing things, and you have to be wise enough to see that. You can't keep pushing it under the rug, because you keep walking on the rug, it's going to come up.
Well, I have a question then, and I thank you for that answer, because that is true. You don't want to put yourself in greater danger, but at the same time, abusers only abuse those who will allow them to abuse them. So my question is it not a sign of weakness because I just can't, I've never been a victim of abuse, because I don't think anybody is crazy enough to hit me. So I think that when you look at abusers, they only seek after certain people that will allow them to abuse them, because if they think that you're going to retaliate, they're not going to abuse you. So
True.
I still have to, and I'm asking because I've seen women who, you hit them, that's a wrap. You better kill me. You better,
right.
Because eventually the abuser has to go to sleep. You have to close your eyes and go to sleep. So I'm like you only got one time. One time you got to go to sleep. So it has to be a fear in them that knows, you know what? She's not the one that I'm going to be able to abuse. Exactly. So it's certain people that they attach to, that they know that they can abuse, because I don't see them all women are not victims of abuse. So again, then what do we say to those women who are victims of abuse, because they tend to go from relationship to relationship with the same abusive relationship in some sort of way?
Because they're so used to being abused until it's a way of life.
Yeah.
It becomes a way of life. And just like someone said that uh, a restraining order is not a bulletproof vest.
Right.
And that's true. But you have to start somewhere. What I'm saying is you really have to be wise and see the train before it comes down the track. You really do, because there are all kinds of signs. You just don't allow a person to treat you any kind of way, and you have to be very specific about that. And Lady V said something about weakness. Yes, abusers do. It's easy for them to abuse a weak woman, but you have to show strengths and without being physical. I am not a person that would show a physical, handle anything physical with a man. But he knows by my gestures, by my conversation, by my forwardness and my boldness that I will not take your crap. It's just like molesters. Young people that are molested are usually very timid, submissive little girls, and people pray. They play on that. They know they're not going to tell anybody. I've always had a loud mouth. You will know. Everybody will know if you touched me. Everybody. And I've just always been. So what I'm saying is you can't show timidity. You have to be bold. You have to open your mouth. You have to see the train before it comes down the track. And you have to let this person know. Look, I see what you're up to, but I'm not the one. I am not the one. You put your hands on me one time, and
Right.
you are going to pay the price. Verbal goes a long ways.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Now I saw someone wrote on there, and is there a way that we can have a caller to come in during this time to hear what other people might want to ask?
Not sure.
If that is so, then you can allow the phone lines to be hot for a little so we could answer a few questions as well. It would be nice. I think it was Donnet or Dorrit put there, the same one that wrote about the bulletproof situation. She was saying that one of the things that happens, especially with those who know that they are abusers, they would isolate the people as far as they can away from any contact and
Yes.
connection. So
Yes.
how would you advise a person to literally get out of an isolated situation like that if you're pretty much set aside and put away somewhere no one can find you? I mean, how can you?
Well, I
What
think
would you
it goes
say?
back to it has to go back to the support system. You
Mm.
know, and some people are not blessed to have a good support system. You know,
Right.
they may not see certain things that's going on like some would. Go back to that movie with Megan Good. Her sister didn't even know. A lot of times they hide it. They don't want to say anything. And I use that movie because it was a true story. They don't want to say anything. They hide it. But you have to have. I would hate to think that I'm being abused and my mom wouldn't know. So somebody in my family's gonna know. I'm like her. Somebody's gonna know because my mouth is big. I talk a lot, and you're not gonna just beat me up, and my family members don't know. So, I'm probably gonna put it on social media, everything. I'm gonna put you on out there, But the thing is, I think that when you look at your support system, a lot of times they don't have a good support system. So they may see the signs. They may be able to see, somebody coming to work or whatever. And a lot of times people don't want to get involved either. You even on the job, people may see a person come to work, with a black eye or something like that, and they just don't want to get involved.
That's why it's important to do your homework before you connect yourself with a person. You need to do your homework, and especially in this day and time, because there are a lot of people that have been incarcerated. There are a lot of people that have been abused themselves. And when people are not healed themselves, somebody's going to feel the blunt of their drama and their trauma that they've been through themselves. So it pays not to jump so quickly into the pot. I need to know some things about you. I need to know who knows you.
Mhm.
Right.
I need to know. I need to know who.
Get some data.
Yeah, I need to know who you've been
Some
rolling
contact.
with for the past 10 years.
Mm.
You could tell me anything. You could tell me that your mother and father are dead and so forth and so on. But you have an uncle, you have an aunt, you have cousins, you have friends, you have
Yeah.
somebody. And what about the people you work with? First of all, let's stop there. If you don't work as a man, we're going to stop right there. So if you work, I can talk to some of your coworkers. I need to find out who I'm connecting with because that's very important because somebody knows this person. I have a client that has a domestic violence on his record. This woman married him 2 years ago and she didn't know that. She should have known that. So now he's domestically abusing her.
Mm-mm-mm.
So, you have to know who you're connect. Don't be so gullible and so vulnerable. You have to know who you're connecting yourself with. You really do. And
And
like
it's so
he
true.
said, you need a support system. So you need to know who you can trust.
Exactly. Exactly. I totally agree. I totally agree. And the thing is, we have to be so sensitive to our loved ones and people around us. We can't be afraid to get involved. It used to be back in the day when you heard people arguing, you heard people fighting. We got involved. We came out, we checked on people. Now everybody is so distant and no one wants to be involved. Even in the school system, you see a young girl coming to school and you see the bruises on her and you don't say anything.
Wow.
What's that all about? Because that something is going on. You can tell in the change of their behavior and how they respond. So a lot of times it's up to us to get involved when we see certain things because we're what we call mandated reporters and we're supposed to be able, and getting involved means asking questions. In my line of work, when you even suspect abuse, you have to call. But I try to ask questions and not jump the gun to make sure that I'm reporting the right thing. But when I see you come and you have too many bruises on you, I'm going to call.
Yeah.
Now, you might be listening to us right now and you're saying, this is my reality, or you might just need some tips and you want to have a question you want to release so that we have the experts right here to be able to answer you and give you some guidance. Again, a number has been put up there, but I will repeat it right now. It's 973-272-4200. That's 973-272-4200. And if you are calling WhatsApp and you're international, you want to call in WhatsApp, you can call us on 718-657-3940. Now, those numbers are there also on the program. The flash is there, is flashing across the screen. You can call that number right now. We will try our best to answer some of these questions. What do you say to a person who is seemingly enjoying the beatdown?
Mm-hmm. And that's very true, Dr. Young. There are some women, I'm telling you, and you hit it. Some women enjoy it. And it's very sad. But once again, it goes back to what they're used to.
Yep. That's true.
They're used to that. So to them, it's a way of life. It's like weak people that talk to weak people. Nothing is produced except weakness. Strong people that talk to strong people produces strength.
Yes.
So when a person is being domestically abused, they usually hook up with someone that is being domestically abused. And the blind can't lead the blind.
Right.
They both fall in the ditch.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they need to know that there is a way out. There is a way out. And the way out is making up your mind that you're better than this. This is not what you deserve.
Right.
And I'm not going to take it. I'm just not going to take it.
Right. Lady V, let's say, and I'm asking you this question like if something is going on in your life. Let's say something like that is happening to you, and you were like your mom, one time is enough. Now, talk to somebody and give them a tip or two. If you were in that position, what would you do at that particular moment? Because most people will say, well, you're not here, so you don't know what I'm dealing with. Talk to us.
I can actually share an experience because that happened to me. I had one time only, that, my ex-spouse, did hit me. And I tell you, I think it scared him more than it scared me.
Mm,
Because at the end of the day, my silence, sometimes your silence is everything. Because
mm.
when a person doesn't really know what you're thinking,
Yeah.
now you've gained control. So that whole night, he didn't know what I was going to do. He didn't know what I was going to say. I stayed calm. I didn't say anything. I didn't react. I didn't do anything. But as I said, at some particular time, you must go to sleep.
Mm,
When you're asleep, then I have some choices, and I chose to let you know that you will never hit me again. So
mm.
you have to sometimes let your abuser know that you're crazier than they are.
Mhm.
Now that's my advice. I
There's
think
a
I'm
crazy in
crazier
you.
than you are, because if you're crazy enough to hit me, then I'm gonna let you know that I'm crazy too. I got a little crazy side of me too, and you're not gonna want to see my crazy side. And a lot of times, I still believe that. Now you have some women, they like the drama. They like the whole you hit me, I hit you. No, that's a difference. That's on another level of drama. It's when you actually, when it first starts and he actually hits you, you at that point can make or break how
Mhm.
that's
My
gonna go.
goodness.
Yep.
It's
Yes.
the very first time that it happens. Because if he did it once and you respond the right way, he ain't gonna do it again.
Right.
Mm, mm.
He is
Well, I
not
want
gonna
to
do
let,
it again.
wow, and that's exactly right. Be crazy with the crazy.
Be
Pastor
crazy
Tito
with
Paul
crazy.
is laughing at us. Hi, Pastor Tito Paul. God bless you. We greet you, and he's laughing at us. Listen, you are in tune too and listening to Kingdom Empowerment International with your host, Pastor Tito Paul, alongside Dr. Yan. I am your co host. With me, Lady V and Dr. Bennett. Listen, we want to let you know that you have an opportunity right now to call us at 973-272-4200 or 718-657-3940. The first number, 973-272-4200. You can call that direct. And if you're using WhatsApp, you're calling international, call 718-657-3940. Wow, this topic is HOT. There's not a dull moment in the room. So we want to open the lines. And as I believe the lines are open, we want you to call. Listen, I know you have your comments. We want to see your comments. And we also want to hear what you have to say. And if this is your reality, if this is a situation that you are now in, this is an opportunity for you to call, get the kind of help, the counsel, the support you need so that you don't have to be there one more day or one more night. Do like that. Listen, God said to Pharaoh, go and get those people out of this place. And Pharaoh was stubborn. And we have some stubborn abusers who will do whatever they have to do. You have to be as stubborn as Lady Visa as them and make that move once you can. So again, 973-272-4200 and WhatsApp 718-657-3940. We're waiting for your call. Do we have a call?
I want to address Dorit said that works sometimes, but it can also make someone defensive, and that is absolutely true.
Yes.
How we respond sometimes can make the other person on the defensive side. That's why, again, when it's something Dr. Bennett said, you have to know what you're dealing with. A lot of times women, we jump into relationships very, very quickly without seeing all of the signs. And I think that that is a big thing for us, because whether it's physically abusive, mentally abusive, emotionally abusive, you will eventually see what a person is made of if you just look at the signs. You don't always have to wind up living with them, marrying them to see the signs. Sometimes you need to just step back and you need to wait. If a person is quick to anger, and it normally doesn't start off where they're going to hit you. It
Right.
normally starts where they're yelling. You fly off the handle with me. You ain't got, but again, you got one time. I'm done. I'm not. You're not gonna even yell at me, because I'm not I don't know what you're going to do. If you're quick to yell at me, then how do I know you won't hit me? So if you're all the way up here all the time, that's a sign. You have to look at the signs before you even get with the person, because a lot of times the signs are there. And then when you see it, that's your opportunity to walk away before you even get into it, because that person has triggers. And if they're just flying off the handle, if you ask them a question, or the kids are irritating them, or noise irritates them, or you can't say anything to them, those are signs. And Dr. Bennett said it, you got to ask questions. You got to make sure that you're looking at the signs before you even say I do. A lot of times we can avoid these situations before we even get involved in it.
Yeah. One of the root causes of domestic violence is rejection. A person that has gone through rejection growing up, and so forth and so on. So when a person is rejected, has been rejected, they are also suffered abandonment, and somebody's going to pay for that if that person has not been healed. So when you first meet someone and you're starting off in a new relationship, one of the best remedies that you can use to see if that person is suffering from rejection is break a date. See how they respond to you breaking a date, because that's a sign of rejection. And if it's in there, it's gonna come up. Well, we made plans, and I gave up everything, and I this and I that. No. No, because something else is coming behind that. You're upset that I broke the date. No, you can't. We won't see each other tonight. I know we made plans, but we won't see each other tonight.
Right.
And I'm telling you, if rejection is that root cause,
that will blow up.
Domestic, that will do it every time, because people that root cause, if it's rejection, they cannot stand to be rejected by nobody. A boss, a person that they're trying to build a relationship with, anybody in the family, their own children, they can't stand it. It sits up like a flag,
Goodness.
This is what I can't take. Don't reject me, don't abandon me, and we'll be all right.
They have a tag on their head.
Yes.
Dr. Bennett, I know that you have dealt with this and you deal with it almost every day. And Lady V, you can jump in as well and try to answer this as well. I'm thinking about the person that we are going to speak to is one who has been going or live on the guilt trip avenue, one, and two, they blame themselves for what is happening to them. How do you address a person who's on that guilt trip and think they are the cause of the abuse?
There are some people, very few though, very few. I haven't run into too many people, Dr. Eon and Lady V, that will absolutely come out and say. But if I listen to you long enough, and especially being your counselor and your therapist, I can tell you that you provoked some of this, but it's not a wise thing to do. Sometimes you have to get around that, because I know a situation, more than a few, where the situation was provoked. They actually initiated. You can sometimes initiate things. sometimes people don't have in their heart to abuse, but then here you come with the nagging and the bickering and the controlling. You know, that's a trigger for some people. Some people can keep that abuse down, but then there are some people that cause it, but very few will admit it. Very, very few will admit it.
Well,
Yeah. Dorrit was just saying rejection. Some victims of rejection sometimes stay with abusers for acceptance.
And
Okay.
if they don't accept them, you can expect part two.
right. Well,
Right,
I
right.
think that sometimes you do have those who blame themselves because they're at a place when they allow it to continue.
Yeah.
Then that's when they go into the unworthy. You know, feel like they're they're
Guilt
walking
trips.
around on eggshells, always thinking they did something wrong. If you go back to I think it was the particular movie Sleeping with the Enemy, and how they brought that out. You know, she had to have everything just right because he had like major OCD problems, so she had to hang the towels up just right. You're walking around on eggshells, you don't know what's going to trigger it all, so you're like afraid to talk, you're afraid to look, you're afraid to make a comment. You're now, because now that person is making you feel like anything you do is going to happen, you know. And I think that it goes back to it may not start off with the physical abuse. A lot of times it starts off with the verbal abuse.
Exactly.
It starts off there. And I can tell you, I've been a victim of that, where, you know, I was on eggshells. I couldn't say anything. I'm afraid to say something because I don't know how you're going to respond. I don't know what you're going to say. So I'm afraid to do anything that's going to trigger off your behavior. And that's when I realized, you know what? I may need to get out of this because I don't know what the next level of this person's trigger is, and it's not going to work out real good. So I'm just going to get out of it because I can't imagine every time I say something, you know, I'm walking around literally in fear, and then you find yourself apologizing. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I made a pot of greens and accidentally didn't put the vinegar in it and took the whole pot of greens do it in the sink. I'm like, that's pretty serious, you know. That's perfectly good pot of collard greens. So, you know, if that's taking your triggers all the way up there, and it seems like it's crazy, but that is really how people respond. It's the smallest things that causes the bigger reactions to when they're at that breaking point, where they're going to now go from the yelling and the screaming and the emotional and verbal abuse to now they're going to hit you. So you need to really, really pay attention to that, because if everything is a trigger, you got to kind of wait on it, you know?
Yeah. And you're right on it, because what happens is we said that there are signs, but when it comes to the guilt, people hold the guilt because they realize they stayed in it too long.
Right.
That's where the guilt comes in. It's not so much that they blame themselves for the abuse, they blame themselves for the continued abuse. And especially if something happens, we know a situation where a child died because this mother would not leave in time, so the person killed the child. And that's not good. You know, now she has to live with that for the rest of her life. So of course she's going to blame herself for staying too long. There is a too long. There's in that particular with the enemy, she had a plan. She took that abuse for a minute, and she had a plan, and she followed through. She walked through, and at the end, she did have to kill him, but it was in self-defense because he came at her. And when it happens like that, she didn't have a gun. She killed him with the gun that was supposed to kill her.
And you know, I don't know if you know, Dr. Bennett, Mom, you remember the situation. There was a young man that we went to school with some years ago. The shooting that happened in Hillside, and she was in an abusive relationship with the father, and they were arguing back and forth, and she finally broke free from him. But then he convinced her this one last time, come talk to me, come talk. And she said no. And he said, well, let me come to the house and talk to you. And you remember we were in the playground and all you heard was the gunshot where he shot and killed his wife. And I think he killed, was it the twins? Yep. And her family members pleaded with her, do not let him in the house. And that's the thing that a lot of women need to understand. Once you get away,
stay away.
Stay away. Don't go back. Run for your life. Keep moving.
You can buy another pair of stockings. You can buy another girdle. Yes. You can buy.
Leave everything.
If you left your false teeth, leave them. Leave them. And keep
it. Right. I think Dorothy is saying way too often, some also would stay in the relationship for the sake of the children. Don't want the children to be a part of the broken home and all of that stuff. Now, how are we addressing this?
The home is already broken.
The house is already broken. Because the thing is, you're setting up the children, because when your children are seeing you be abused, they 9 times out of 10, I don't know what the stats are, but they're going to think that it's okay. Either your sons are going to think it's okay to beat a woman, or your daughter's going to think it's okay to have a man beat her. So they're already a part of the broken home. They're already seeing what's going on, and they're going to need some counseling so that they can get healed from what they're seeing. So you don't stay in an abusive relationship because of the children, because the house is already broken. The kids are seeing it.
Yeah. You have to get those children into a safety nest and let them know that this is not the way of life, and teach them and train them. And you're going to have to get the children healed. So you have to get them, if they're of age, you have to get them to counseling and so forth and so on, because children remember more what they see than what they hear.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. Well, we still have time for someone to call if you still need a call. I think Bishop Gary Mingo just said, leave him the first time. He raised his hand against it. Yes, Bishop. How are you doing, Bishop Gary? God bless you from New Jersey. Listen, that's very important. Good afternoon, Pastor Tito Paul. God bless you, Michelle. Now, we still have time for you to call 9732-724-200 and WhatsApp 718-657-3940. And you are tuned into Kingdom Empowerment International with your host, Pastor Tito Paul. I'm your co-host, Dr. Ian, alongside Lady V and Dr. Yvonne Bennett. We are talking about escaping from this abuse. How do you let it go, leave it, and move forward? Now, we are back here again, and I still want to give opportunity for someone to call in and ask your question. If not, you want to put your question up there. We will try to answer it as much as we can. Again, that number is 973-272-4200. That's the direct line. And 718-657-3940. You are in tune again to Kingdom Empowerment International. Go right ahead, Dr.
There was someone that had a question, made a statement that some people hide the abuse from their children, and that is very true. That is very, very true. They make excuses. Well, you know, Daddy just had a bad day, and no. No, Daddy had a bad day, but I had a bad day because Daddy had a bad day. And we're all going to do something about this bad day. That's what we're going to do. And I would never hide the abuse from my children. Never. I would tell them the truth. I would say, I saw a movie with that. She told the truth. She said, Daddy beats me. she told the child the truth. You have to be honest with the children. You don't have to go into great detail, but you need to be honest with them.
Mm, mm,
Mm.
mm. Like you said, whatever they see, that becomes the reality or the lifestyle, the narrative in the house, and it looks like it's normal now for
Yeah.
that to hit mom, and everybody just stays silent, and everything is swept under the rug. Go ahead, Lady B.
I think that, one of the hardest things is in abusive situations is the detachment of the love, because you fall in love with the person, you love a person, you have children with them, um, and you want to believe the very, very best in that person. You want to believe that they're going to love and they're going to cherish you and you're going to be safe. But coming from an abusive relationship, I can tell you, it's hard to walk away, but it's better to walk away.
Mhm.
And even, in my situation with my ex-spouse, it the rejection, yeah, you're right. That person will tell you, well, what I did wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. Yes, it was that bad. It was that bad that it caused me to walk out the door and leave you, and you can't ever come back. And you have to let that person know that it is serious of what you've done, and I can't accept what you've done. No matter how much you may love that person, because love just doesn't go away. You can love a person, and just because a person does something doesn't mean that, oh, well, I don't love you no more. But you have to be able to now grab a hold of yourself and love yourself more than you love the situation that you're in, or you're trying to protect that person, because sometimes it could be financial, what you may lose. If I walk away, I'm not going to have the financial support. If I walk away, I'm going to lose my car, I'm going to lose my home. You know what? It's better that you lose everything than to lose you
Your
and
life.
to lose your life. It is better to walk away. You
You,
can always get things back, but you can't
Yes,
get you
get
back.
yourself.
you can get more things, but
Replace.
you can never get another you.
Can never replace you.
Walk away from everything. And
Mm.
another thing that domestic abusers do, they hold you hostage to
Mm,
what they are giving you.
Right.
They're the sole, supporter, provider of the household. It's
Mm.
like, where is she going? She's not going anywhere. She don't have nowhere to go.
Right.
Well, you have to make that person out of a liar.
Mm.
You must have a plan. That's why it's bad to burn your bridges. You have a lot of people that get into these relationships, and like Lady D said, leaving love is not that easy. And some people leave their family. They misconstrue and misinterpret the content of the scripture where it says leave and cleave. Yes, God did tell Abraham that. But leave and cleave does not mean that I detach from my family and I don't have any support. I'm not going to burn my bridges. I'm going to keep in touch with my family, especially if they're family members. Okay, I have to have a support system. So if something should happen, I can have some support.
and
Mm.
that is so true. A lot of times we try to hide from our family members. I know I did. It was a lot that I didn't share with my parents, that I wish I had, and they could have did a intervention. My mom tried to, but by that time it was too late. Because I kept him away from the family. I kept trying to protect, and I don't want them to find out. I don't want them to know my business. Oh, they needed to know my business because maybe I could have avoided some things to happen. So a lot of times detaching yourself from your family members is not a good thing. That person will take you and move you halfway across the world and move you away from your family because they don't want your family members to know what's going on. And now you're in a stuck place and you're kind of in prison because you're there and you can't get out. There's nothing that they can do if you're a million miles away. So you really need to stay connected to your family members. You need to find somebody that you can trust, that you can call, that you can say, hey, these things are going on, because had I had trusted, I could have talked to my parents about some things that was going on prior to the abuse, and then maybe the abuse may not have taken place.
Yeah,
Well,
And
it end up coming right back to the parent anyway. Go ahead, doctor.
when it
Exactly.
comes to detachment, when it comes to detachment, um, uh, this is what I deem to live by. I can be head over heels in love with a person, but love deserves love. And if you don't love me back, if that's all it is to you, that's all it can be to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
love when you say that.
detaching myself from a person who don't love me, because that's one-sided. I'm up here and they're down here. So there is
Mm,
no love coming back up here. So I
Exactly.
can love you, but I can leave you.
mm. I
Bishop
see.
Gary said
Yeah, go ahead.
everyone deserves relationship free from
From
domestic
domestic
violence.
violence,
But how do you walk away when there's no uh,
financial
financial support
support,
and the pastor keeps
sending you back.
back into that abusive relationship? Well, I'm going to say that there are times where, and again, in my situation, there were many people at the church that told me to stay. They said, that's your support, that's your husband, you don't walk away. And that's where my family members were like, no, you need to walk away. You don't, sometimes you got to block out what people say because they're not in the place that you're in.
Right.
And your pastor, if he's telling you to stay in an abusive relationship because of finances, then maybe you should step up to the plate and lend a helping hand. Find some support.
That sounds like a plan right there. Well, if
I'm just
I'm not
saying.
getting there, Bishop Gary Bago, you're on fire. We were told that divorce
Sin.
is a sin, okay, and the woman have to stay in that abusive relationship until death do us part. Well, one person said to me, we have never discussed divorce, but we did discuss murder. So again, so that's another story by itself. They didn't discuss divorce because that was not in their home, but they did have a discussion over murder till death do us part. So that is the situation right there. Now, doctor, how would you address a person who would say to you, as a woman is saying to you, I can't be alone. I like having company, and it's hard for me not to have company. So that's why I find myself going back.
Well, you find a lot of women that think that way. And let's just clarify this divorce situation. Yes, it is sin. God, God said that he hates it, but he never said he wouldn't forgive it.
Right.
Getting a divorce is not the unpardonable sin.
Thank you, doctor.
The Holy Spirit is. And people need to get that. Getting a divorce is not the unpardonable sin. It is not. God said he would forgive all sin except blasphemy
against the Holy Spirit.
So there are a lot of women that feel, I don't want to be alone. Well, think about it for a moment. You're already alone.
In the relationship.
If a person is domestically abusing you, you are already alone. You're giving your body to a person that don't deserve it. You're alone. Get that. Please get that. Because your body is supposed to belong to him and his body is supposed to belong to you if you're married. Now, if that don't work both ways, something is not right in the soup. So it's easy for me to once again to detach myself. And when I detach myself, you will feel the detachment. It's not a rubber band detachment. It don't spring back and forth. If I detach, you know I'm detached. And like Lady B said something, and silence is golden. The less you say, less is best. Some women, it's yakety yak, yakety yak. But that don't get it with a domestic violent person. Don't talk so much.
That's their fuel.
Yeah, that's their fuel. Don't talk so much. Just let them know by the appearance of your face, you have one time. This was your one time. And trust me, you will not have another.
Exactly.
You will
I
not
totally agree. I totally agree. Silence sometimes is golden.
Yeah, and bring that to the table at the beginning of the relationship. That's what I did, and I got married young. And I said to my husband, there's two things that could break up our marriage. We got married young, 18 and 20. One
Mm.
is infidelity, and the other is you mentioning that you are going to hit me. You don't even have to hit me. Mention it, and I'm gone.
Yeah.
Pastor Paul had up two. He said sexual sin and unbeliever. But Dr. Bennett added one more, Pastor Paul. You raise your hands, and I'm out of there. So that's number three. So,
Now,
oh my goodness. We have 5 more minutes before we wrap this up today. And again, those who wanted to call could not call. Listen, there is going to be an opportunity. We are here every Wednesday at 5 p.m., and that is at the Kingdom Empowerment International with your host, Pastor Tito Paul. I'm your co host, Dr. Yan, and also alongside of me is Dr. Bennett and Lady V. Listen, we have hot topics here where there's never a dull moment and things just burst out suddenly. So if you hear some suddenlies, no, it's coming from this program here, Kingdom Empowerment International. Also at 4 p.m., just before this program, we have Lady V and Dr. Bennett in the program they have from 4 to 5, Breaking the Silence. I was on the one just before. It was another hot one. So I tell you, these two programs back to back, hot. It's just like here in the Caribbean, 24/7, summer all year round. So here it is. You have a few more minutes before we wrap up. Lady V and then Dr. Bennett, and then we will close it out for today.
I'm just gonna say, if you're in this situation, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, get out and don't look back. Don't. I like something that Pastor Paul said. Once a person beats you, you are an unbeliever because you've now become a person that doesn't believe in who God says that you are. So you have a right to walk away then, because now you become an unbeliever. That gives you the godly right to get out. And once you get out, you run and you never, ever, ever look back.
You
Remember,
gotta do like who's Simba? Was it Simba?
One time.
Was it Simba? Was it some Mufasa said to Simba, "Run and never come back"?
Run and never come back.
Go ahead, Doctor.
and I would say to those that are listening, never try to convince the abuser to stay. Don't try to convince the abuser to stay. Stop making excuses. Just face it and accept it for what it is. Stop with the apologies. It's not your fault. Stop trying to make them stay. They need to go. Let them go, because what you do when you try to make them stay, they may stay for a moment, but they're thinking
enabling them
all the new strategies and how they're going to get you. And now you're afraid to go to sleep. You're afraid to get up. You'll find different things because a domestic violent person knows how to abuse in different forms. It could be through drugs. It could be through your food. It could be through a lot of things. So take heed. If you are with a person that has abused you one time, or if they look like they want to abuse you or mention it, get out and don't look back.
Wow. Don't fuel the fire,
Right.
because it will burn you down.
That's it.
Oh my goodness. Well, we are not out of word. We're not out of information about this particular topic, but we are just out of time. And thank you very much for tuning in to Kingdom Empowerment International, where Pastor Paul, Tito Paul, is your host. I am your co-host, Dr. Yan, alongside Lady V and Dr. Bennett. What a topic, what a topic, what a topic. See you next week, same time, same place, as we continue on this hot subject. Tata, according to Pastor Tito. Bye. Shalom to you. God bless you all.